Hello.
Danny,
how are you?
To my right, I'm good. Chris to my left.
Hello, everyone.
Chris Palmieri, puppeteer extraordinaire, joining us.
Thanks
We
for
are.
having me.
Oh my gosh. Well, we've been talking about doing this since last summer, so I just want to give a little bit of a background on Chris. Chris and I met at Mayo Performing Arts Center last summer through our mutual friend Jesse Bush. Shout out Jesse Bush.
Shout out to Jesse Bush.
He did a puppet workshop with our students, and it was so much fun. And you just brought in this big duffel of different types of puppets, because I think people we know but we don't know is that there are different types of puppets. There's hand puppets, there's marionette puppets, there's two people puppets. I know I'm saying everything wrong.
You're right. You're right on. You're right on.
So
Yeah.
I had reached out to him and said I would love to have you in, and then we just got booked, and we were off for the summer. So I think I messaged you a couple weeks ago. I said, "Hey, can you come in?" You're like, "What date?" And how perfect, 10/10.
Perfect.
You're here, and of course I was like, "And please bring puppets."
Which I did.
I didn't even. So, is there significance to 10/10?
No, I was just like, how cool, like 10/10. Is there significance?
I don't think
10/10 equals 20.
It's probably National Something Day.
Probably
We're gonna make a
national-
National Puppet Day.
It's National Puppet Day. So
Unless-
we just went.
Chris, do you know when
there
it's
is a
National Puppet Day?
I
When is
believe.
it? You
I
don't
don't know
know.
when it is.
Someone
but it happened
let us
recently.
know. Let
Yeah.
us know.
Nicole.
Nicole, are you watching? So anyway, we have a new setup. Our studio has changed significantly, so we're still trying to figure out where we're going
Right.
to sit. And I'm kind of loving
I'm
this.
loving this too.
side.
I feel relaxed
I
and it
feel
feels
chill.
natural.
I
and
feel like I could look.
we have Kevin down
the
here.
You have a
producer.
producer
Kevin,
here,
wave
which
to
is
the-
wonderful.
Wave to the Facebookers.
Hi, I'm not
There's
on
his
you
hand.
anymore.
Let's all wave.
So
Hey.
this is a nice little setup, I think. So if we seem a little, adjusting ourselves or anything,
It's because we are adjusting
so we
ourselves.
just-
adjusting
we just-
ourselves, that sounds so appropriate.
I know.
Yes.
It's got
I love
World
it.
Puppetry Day is March 21st.
Oh, March 21st.
Yay.
World
So maybe you
Puppet-
can come back.
Yeah.
What day is March? Is that like a
I don't know.
I don't
Thursday?
know.
I don't
We
know. I have
don't
my phone's
know.
over there.
Your phone is
idea came
like.
from the puppet theater artist Javad Zolfagari from Iran.
So, Chris, you're a Jersey boy,
I am
Yes.
a
Sussex
Jersey
County.
boy.
Very exciting. So tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get
Into puppetry.
into puppetry?
Is that
Sure.
that's the word, puppetry, right?
Puppetry,
Okay,
that's
puppetry.
right, yeah.
Okay.
So, and I'm a
Yes,
puppeteer.
yeah.
That's right. So, basically, as was mentioned, I'm from northern New Jersey, Sussex County, Montague, which is where I spent the bulk of my childhood. And I moved from Sussex County to New York 11 years ago, as of next Wednesday.
Ah.
Yeah. And I went to the American Museum of, I did go to the American Museum of Natural History, but not for
Not there,
college.
not for. Yeah.
I went to the American Musical and Dramatic Academy,
Yes.
and I studied acting for stage and film in their studio program, and I graduated in 2010. About a year later, I was working doing some interactive theater and some children's theater, and I sort of rediscovered an existing love for puppetry from when I was a child by going to the Jim Henson exhibit at the Museum of Moving Image in Queens. So that kind of was like an aha moment for me, where I sort of felt, oh, this is what I want to do.
Right, right.
Because in show business, you sort of find your niche,
Yes.
And I was like, well, this is physical performance. It's voices. You can be anything. Whereas when you're acting as a human, you are mostly kind of stuck with your type. Most people don't get to be Daniel Day-Lewis and Meryl Streep.
Right.
Sort of like, I mostly play characters that look and sound like me,
Yes.
which is great, and I
Yeah.
love doing. But as a puppet character, I can be anything I want, any alien or creature or animal or type of human that there is. So
Okay, because Mumford has a different voice, let's
Right.
say, than obviously that dog puppet. But how do you come up with these voices? Did you study voiceover too?
I studied voice and dialect in college, and I've always been a fan of cartoons, which is,
Yeah.
I think, where a lot of it comes from. And then also, like I said, I love physical performance. I love like imitating people, and so part of it is the voice, and then part of it is how they move.
Right.
But yeah, I always say that part of the reason I'm a puppeteer is because I'm not good enough at drawing to be an animator. So I can animate live with puppets, because I'm really interested in doing animation voiceover as well. I think that was kind of part of the seed of it, was being
Right.
able to kind of do both the character and the voice. So, a lot of time it's just people I know, or taking an accent and then, well, what if I tweak that a little bit, or taking a cartoon character impression or changing it a little bit, or just if it's obscure enough, just completely copying it, like sort of an Ed Wynn voice, that's very on the nose. We've all heard that. Yeah. And, but it's a great voice to do for certain puppet characters.
So what are some of your favorite cartoons?
Oh, well, I love the Looney Tunes.
Yeah, what's up, Doc? Bugs Bunny here. You're despicable.
Oh, of course I love Disney. Of course, I love Disney too.
This is great.
So those are what I grew up watching and listening to, and The Simpsons and South Park also became big favorites of those as I grew older.
Cartman. Can you do Cartman? I hate to
And of course I can do Cartman.
Yes.
Respect my authority.
There was a new South Park on last night.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Oh
I haven't
my
I
watched
won't
the new
tell you.
season
Yeah,
yet.
yeah, yeah.
Is it good though?
Yeah, it's very good course. They
Very
get better
good.
and better.
Yeah.
So, were you brave when you first started doing these voices? Because you know what? I always wonder with voiceover, or acting with puppets, or when you're not using your whole body and you're creating a character through your voice. Did you just go for it and try it, or?
Yeah.
I mean, it's scary.
Yeah, I think, what it is for me, doing voices came out of doing other things. So I
Right.
was doing improv and sketch comedy and theatrical acting and doing my own little weird YouTube videos when I was in high school. And so I
Right.
was coming up with different voices. And those always came with physicality. And what I've felt in the voiceover that I've done and borrowed from other people that I admire is that it is best to just let yourself go. It isn't just your voice. You are doing the whole physical
Right.
performance, and that feeds the vocal performance, and then that's just all they use. Similar to how when I'm doing a puppet character, if the puppet is speaking happily, I'm smiling. I'm not
Right.
down there looking really miserable. Now, if I'm lip syncing to a track, I do look really miserable because I'm thinking really hard about matching the movement extremely well versus being in the character in that same way. So yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think it all kind of was one thing for me, acting and voices, and anything else I ever did was. I think I tried my best to just go for it. Of course, we all have those hang-ups.
So, were you going to ask?
No, I was. I was.
So not only are you a puppeteer, but you're creating these puppets too.
Yes, I'm
You're
a
actually
puppet builder.
constructing them as well, which is I think that's amazing. Can we see some of these
Let's
puppets?
show
I wanna
some.
see them up
We got a
close.
little glimpse,
I
but
want to
let's
see them up close.
I got a guy you guys haven't seen yet. He's a fun one that I like a lot, and see if I can.
And if anyone on Facebook has any questions for Chris, please feel free to ask.
Yes.
Kevin, you just
I
might
can't
have
read.
to- you might have to go look because
I can't
the
read that far.
screen's a little bit further away. Yeah.
What are we oohing about here? I don't know what's going on.
adorable.
Hello. Hi,
Oh,
hello.
I love Piggy.
Oh, thank you very much. My name's Petey. Petey the Pig. And as you can tell, I got a certain occupation. That is being a construction worker. You see?
So, all right. So, going back to the
I'm
building
literally
it because I'm
looking
just
at that
looking at
pig,
it. I mean, you're sewing these puppets together, right? So, was this something that you already had the skill in constructing puppets, or was it a lot of trial and error?
A lot of trial and error. I built a lot of really crappy puppets. Basically, I was inspired when I wanted to start doing puppetry. I bought a puppet, and then I wanted to be able to create my own characters. Because what people don't realize is if you go buy a puppet from one of these wonderful companies like Folkmanis or Silly Puppets, which make amazing puppets.
Silly Puppet.
They're great. That was my first one, too. They're wonderful, but they own the rights to those designs and those characters. So if you want to make a YouTube video, which is something that I have been doing since high school and everything like that, or you want to create a stage show, you would need to buy the rights to those characters, or you may not be able to get them.
Right.
So I wanted to create something that was totally original to me. And so that was kind of why I started trying to build puppets. I looked up as much as I could find on the internet. And the weird thing about puppetry is there's so much hodgepodge and shared knowledge and borrowing from other. There's no puppet supply store. There's
Right.
10 stores. There's the fabric store, the craft store, the
Right.
hardware store, the 99-cent store. You go into all these random things, finding exactly the right piece. And so I sort of just started trying to learn, and then I got a little bit better and a little bit better. I learned from people I worked with, and I've been fortunate now to about half my apartment is a puppet workshop, and I end
that's
up doing
awesome.
about a third of the work I do is puppet building, and I've been able to work on some bigger
Have you
projects.
ever done any, workshops, classes?
Well, he
with
did my
puppets?
puppet workshop
Yes,
at MPAC.
yes.
But, including building your own puppets or anything like that? Or
Yeah, I've done some for kids. I'll put him down. for now.
I'm like, don't go.
I'll bring him back out. I've done some for kids. I've done some puppet building residencies at after-school programs. I've done workshops, kind of like what we did at MPAC, but more towards building and less towards performing, things like that. I haven't really taught adults, although I don't see why I couldn't teach some of the basics that I've learned from other adults to other adults.
You know what's interesting, because we were talking, we got coffee beforehand, and I was saying how I love puppets. Some people are afraid of puppets, not me. Puppets, Muppets, I love them. I love the art of puppetry. I think it's so fascinating. And I mentioned to Chris when I saw War Horse, I was like this.
Yeah.
I don't think I moved at all. And I smiled, even though it's like a little heavier of a story. The whole time I was like, in my face, because there is this synchronicity, is that the word I'm looking for, between the puppeteer and the puppet, and you really do become one, because even in War Horse, you saw the puppeteers.
Yeah.
They weren't hidden. It wasn't like they were underneath something, but they disappeared, but then they were there too. It was really, really...
What I love about theater too is you walk in there and you accept what they're creating for you, and then that becomes the character.
Right.
For me, I saw, I always pronounce the name of the company wrong. Mobu Mines or Mambu Mines.
Was that at APAP or whatever?
No, it was, no, but I know what you're talking about.
Right, okay.
No, it was at the New Victory Theater, and it
Okay.
was their Peter and Wendy. Oh. And it was more of like marionette type puppets.
Yeah.
And they're wearing, they're wearing the
black hood.
They're wearing the black hood.
Yeah, I have one of those with me.
Yeah, they're wearing
You
the
do?
black hood,
Yeah,
and
I was in a show
you
this
clearly
morning.
see them. They're there, but you buy into that.
Yeah.
That's what they're creating, and I think that it's just. I've
But
always loved
adults and
puppets,
children.
too.
So my point was, I like what
Yeah.
you were saying. As an adult, I immediately fell back into this wonderful childhood magic. My inner child was there with you, and I was so happy. And we were talking about how some people don't like puppets, and I think they're more of the life, like we were talking about, like the big. But are those puppets or those costumes? Like when I'm is Big Bird a puppet, or is that just someone in a? I mean, I'm not. I don't know the terminology.
You're asking the question.
So,
yeah.
so let me blow your mind here.
Yes.
He's a costume puppet.
Okay.
Yeah, well, so
okay.
he is a puppet,
Yeah.
but he's a
Yeah.
puppet that the character performer will wear entirely and be encased in. And that's actually one of the things that most attracted me to puppetry in the first place,
Okay.
was full body puppets.
Yeah.
Because I loved that there was no hiding. Big Bird can walk into this room, he can walk around, he can leave. There's no wire, there's no string, there's nothing you can see. Well, there actually is a string that attaches his one hand to his other hand, so that way he can move both, even though his other hand is in the head. But yeah, but
Wow,
the sense
that's-
that the
a
one
challenge,
his
yeah.
right hand is stuffed, and his left hand is the performer's left hand, and then his right
interesting.
hand is in the head. And I didn't know that's how it worked. I never really thought about how it worked. And
No,
was like,
I never
well, that
did
does
either.
make
Because
sense.
it's like you
because-
said, it looks like it's just someone wearing a costume.
That's what I was
Just
Right,
walking
right.
around, yeah.
But then you think about the shape, and you're like, well, how would they get up there? And they make the mouth move and the
Yeah.
eyes move. So how does that work? But yeah, it's a puppet that you are inside of, and there are large, full-scale puppets have been a part of a lot of different traditions for a long time. Yeah, so mascots. Those are certainly kind of more toward the costume world, but I think of them as puppets. I do a lot of mascot work between other gigs, and I've been fortunate to get to do that and work with some really great brands and properties doing that. And for me, I approach it as it's a puppet. What am I moving? I'm moving my whole body to make it move, and I just don't happen to usually have the ability to manipulate the face in any way. And I think that approaching it that way has helped me to do my best job, and people seem to keep wanting to work with me. So I look at it as puppetry, and I actually have some mascot stuff on my puppetry reel as well, just to kind of have the fullest width and breadth of experience.
So, okay, I would agree at
I
the
was
same
just going to
time.
say, what do you enjoy more? Do you enjoy creating your own shows or actually going into a production, let's say, and doing puppetry work?
That's a tough question. I think being a hired gun is easier, but there is something about being like, I came up with this character, and then I made it, and then I wrote the show, and that's really, really fun. And I'm trying to do more of that because I've been fortunate enough to be so busy doing work for a lot of other people. I'm trying to invest a little bit more time into stuff for me. So I would say that I love it all, although even in things where I'm kind of at more of a creative head, I really love to collaborate. Collaboration
That's good, because
is
I'm
my
going to be
favorite.
reaching out to you for something that I'm working on that's been
Please
in my
do.
head for a while.
Yeah.
So do you have, you had mentioned these puppet companies where that they're licensed, so you can't if you do a YouTube. Do you have a show on YouTube that you are creating?
Yeah, I'm working on something.
Okay.
I'm building a new character for children that is sort of. I had the really wonderful experience of working on a show for NBC's Universal Kids Network called Snugs House, where I puppeteered and voiced the central character, Snug, and it was wonderful. We worked on it for the better part of a 2-year period in 30 Rock, and we got a lot of really great famous guests.
Chris Updike?
I don't.
Okay. So
maybe I met him at some point. But anyway, I was fortunate to work on that character, and that was my first experience doing a television character. What I love about it is with theater, you're doing one thing over and over. And with film, you're doing it once. Maybe you're doing it 10 times that day, but then it's done. With TV, you're doing a character in a range of situations over a long period of time. So I had never got to know and build a character that way. And to take the scripts and put my own spin on them and come up with these little improvised vocal mannerisms or personality traits that then the writers took and wrote back into new scripts. And so I'm reading, the character would maybe get excited and be like, yeah, 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 yeah. And that got written into it, even though that wasn't, that was my thing, and now it's a thing of this character.
Right.
And the character came to love dinosaurs because I love dinosaurs and all that. So I was really loving that, and that show is no longer being produced. It's still on the air. You can see it, and you can see it on YouTube and on any cable on-demand services. But I miss that character, and I miss having a children's character that's very cute and lovable and loving that I can develop. So I wanted to sort of not wait for somebody else's permission to do it.
Right.
So that's something that's in the works. Not a thing that exists yet. He's in pieces on my desk at home, but he's coming together. And if you follow me on Instagram or check out my website, which we'll talk about later, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can see more.
Can I hold a puppet? Well,
Sure.
I just did a little puppet performance at Boot and Coffee with Chris.
You want this guy?
Shout out to
was
Frankie.
fun.
I was like, Frankie, I have a puppeteer coming in today. And Frankie's like, is he bringing his puppets? I'm like, I hope so. I'm like, I will find out. So then Chris is like, I think I'm here. I'm like, I'm at the coffee shop. He's like, I'll come over. I'm like, please bring your puppets.
She's demanding.
No, I'm like obsessed. So can you give me a direction? Like, I'm a new puppeteer.
Are you left-handed?
I'm right-handed.
So put them on your right hand.
Okay, guys.
Here's your first.
You
Here's
want
my
to have
first
your
tip.
dominant hand be what
Okay.
is lip syncing generally.
Okay.
And then so you want to do your best to move just your thumb. Because we don't flop the top of our head. We only move our bottom
Ooh, that's
jaw.
hard, actually. Okay,
It is
wait.
hard. And so try your best to keep if you see how relaxed my hand is.
Okay.
I'm not doing this. I'm doing like this inside.
Okay.
Just give yourself that relaxation.
Okay, I'm
because that'll
relaxed.
make it easier for you to not tense up.
Okay, and just
so
move the bottom thumb.
As much as you can. As much as you can.
Hi.
There you go.
I don't have a good voice.
So
Hi.
So let's just try counting to 10. Ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now,
Yay!
I missed it. Did you do 7 or 7?
Oh, I think I just did 7.
Oh.
Yeah, you gotta do
I
every
didn't
syllable.
think. Okay,
7.
wait.
That's the trick.
Let's do it again. Can we do it again?
Okay, sure.
Oh my
Ready?
God. I must be perfect.
Here we go.
And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
There you
Yay!
go.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh my god.
Lovely.
I did it.
You
Oh
did it.
my gosh. What's this puppet's name?
I just call him Doggy.
Doggy.
Yeah,
This
he's
is
a character.
Doggy.
I actually just sort of was like, oh, what voice
Does
do I
the
want to
tail-
do?
'cause
It
I
wags,
thought-
yeah.
oh my
So this is the
God.
tail.
Oh, because you have
a rod. Yeah. Yeah, I chose to just keep his
rod.
arms like floppy and then like give you the tail control.
Oh my God.
And it works really well. He's a fun little puppet.
That's a good joke. Oh yeah.
I'm having too much fun. So what is it? Oh, you have another one? Danny, do you want a puppet?
Yes.
This is a different one though. It's a different kind of puppet.
We get to play with puppets today. Be jealous. Are there any questions
We have
on
like a
there?
conversation. No. Could we do the? Oh my god! Look at that.
Oh my God.
I don't have a name for him.
Oh.
He's like a
Oh my
weird little
gosh.
dude. House. Wormy, sure.
Oh my
Wormy.
So you can play with him if you want. So that would be more like a tabletop puppet. So, the surface.
Gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Womp,
And the fun thing about puppets like that is that you get a chance to manipulate something that's on a surface on a stage. So his whole body exists.
You're good,
Yeah,
Danny.
exactly.
Oh.
There you go.
Oh my God! What is this made of inside?
That's just a scarf that I found, and then I put some foam and some polyfill in there, and a couple of marbles on top for the eyes.
Jump on my
This
head.
reminds me of Marcel the Snail or whatever. What is it, Marcel the Snail?
Oh
or
yeah,
Is that
yeah.
from Sesame? There was like a little thing from Sesame.
There is a little worm on Sesame
There is a
Street named
worm.
Wormy. His birthday was recently, I think.
Oh my gosh! This is
Look, he's gonna go right down.
right down. Go cheer up, Kevin.
Woo! Oh my God, that's
Kevin.
so fun.
Kevin. So now, okay, if I'm using a puppet, where this is what I was told because I directed Avenue Q and we had some people come in and do a workshop.
Yeah.
You, as the actor, where do I look at you too, or do I look at the puppet?
It sort of depends on the artistic choice of the director.
Okay.
With Avenue Q, it's very much that like the human and the puppet are like two pieces of one character. So they're kind of like looking where the puppet is looking.
Okay, so I'd be like this. Okay.
But I have found in some senses with other actors, they want to look at you because we're just so engaged by human faces that I will sometimes look at the puppet because it helps them to know to look at the puppet. So it depends on the production and you kind of have to figure out what your goals are and what your style is.
Okay.
But both are acceptable.
So now, because you just mentioned Avenue Q, do you go in and work as like a puppet consultant on production?
Puppet master.
Or are you available to do that?
Yes, I do, and I am. That's another wonderful part of my job is getting to coach and train actors to be puppeteers who maybe have limited puppet experience in their past. That's actually one of my jobs where I met Jesse Bush is at a wonderful place called Field Station
I was going to
Dinosaurs.
say we're going to talk about a day in the life.
Which is a place where we have a 15-foot long mechanical Tyrannosaurus Rex puppet. It's 100 pounds. We wear it and we operate it with bike brake mechanics and stuff. It was built by Monkey Boys Productions just outside Philadelphia. And to speak a little more to your question about like, do I prefer working for someone else or doing my own? Well, sometimes those worlds come together. I've been very fortunate to find out, for example, at Field Station Dinosaurs, we have a show called Dinosaur Daredevil, which is all blacklight puppetry. So we're in the black hoods and the gloves, and the puppets are treated with blacklight paint, and there's UV and nothing else. So we more or less disappear, and the puppets are walking, flying, floating,
That's
swimming.
almost like a Mum and Sean's type vibe,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
like a similar...
Yeah, similar to some of their work. And then, so that was a show that I got to build. I designed and built all the puppets, and then I got to direct the show. So it's very much a lot of my vision around a message and a curriculum that was decided by our executive producer and music that was produced by him and our musician, Jumpin' Jamie. And then folks like Jesse and other really talented puppeteers got to help make it work together, and there's pieces of everybody. That's what I love. I can watch the show and go, Matt did that, and Alana did that, and Jesse did that, all for the first time in the rehearsal, and I said, that's good, keep it, and then that's what became the show, and that's what I like.
We got to get you at the growing stage because we use puppets all the time, and blacklight puppetry's big with us as well. I mean, we have Matilda going on right now, and there's shadow puppetry that they're
amazing.
using in it.
Yeah.
But we're always looking for puppeteers.
You guys should definitely connect.
I'd love to. Let's do,
connect.
please, because that is one of my
great.
things. Is I run puppet workshops for actors to sort of learn how to be puppeteers, and then I also, of course, have done a lot of work repairing puppets that I didn't necessarily build. A lot of time, you have puppets. It's a theater company. They have these puppets for 10 years. The person who built them is no longer maybe easy to reach, or they're somewhere else, and they're like, these guys need new rods. They need some paint. They need some stitching. And it's one of those things that goes overlooked because from stage, a lot of time you don't see them, but unchecked, this is how puppet heads come off on stage and stuff. Yeah.
So as a kid, were you into puppets?
Yeah, I was, but it wasn't like a linear thing. I kind of forgot, like I had a drawer full of different puppets from when I was a kid, and I'll never forget one of my favorite moments that I can remember is I was playing with my dad, and we had this like giraffe puppet, and I pulled it off his hand, and he was like, my skin! And I was like 5, and that made me crack up. And I think that was like one of the earliest times that I would have gotten like a meta joke, because you think about the understanding you would need as a child. And so I often think, well, that must have been kind of like new to my ability to even understand that it was a puppet, and the joke was that it's a puppet and that he's still there, and I always remember that. And then in high school we had a day at a community theater group that I was a part of, where the woman who ran it, Chris Thompson, who's also wonderful, brought in a bunch of puppets, one of which I have. She gave it to me later on. And we just played, and it really felt like a natural fit for me. And I did a lot of stop motion in high school too. I think that was probably my initial in to like, well, I suck at drawing, so what if I move these things? And then later I was like, well, if I put in the time to build a puppet is probably the time to animate 2 minutes of stop motion, and then I can animate it live forever. So there's definitely a connection, but it wasn't like I was a kid who wanted to be a puppeteer and then I became one, which is the case with a lot of my friends who do it.
I loved puppets as a kid, and I remember I have a silly puppet, and I remember I got it in Bryant Park at their little Christmas village that they have, and the joke was, I think I paid like, I don't know, $50 for it or something. I was like, this is my $50 puppet. 'Cause like at the time I was like, do I really want to spend this much on it? But I still have it. I know where it is. Yeah. I remember what I liked about it was it kind of looked like me, because they had all the different hair, like the hairstyles and everything, and I was like, that one looks like me. I want a puppet that looks like me. Have you ever created one that resembles you?
I've never made one that resembled me. I did end up working randomly with a puppet from another company that a lot of people say looks like me when they've seen me play. I could definitely like, do my hair the way his was, shave, and like wear the right clothes, and I would look like a human version of him. I have made puppets that look like people, though, and other living beings. I made a puppet of a friend's dog once as a gift to his fiance. I made a puppet of Donald Trump for a music video last year. That was my first time really having to get not just a person, but it was making fun of him. Don't worry.
I figured that.
But it was weird for me to have to look at him. It was like a science and an art, and just like what features does he have? How do I want to execute that? How do we want to exaggerate it? To what degree? Because we didn't want to make it too much about like his physical.
I was going to say, it wasn't all about the hair.
No, we found a wig. It wasn't really too much about it. We tried to get a wig that was close enough.
It was more about
and
him,
then style
not
it.
about what he looks like.
Yeah, it wasn't so much. It was like, his skin was orange, and he was like, I tried my best, but it was interesting to have to just be like, well, he's just a set of features, and then I did end up performing it. So I tried to get.
Can you do a voice?
Oh, I'll try. I haven't done it in so long, and I don't think it's very good, but it's like my election was
you got
the most well-attended election ever. It's just the same one that Colbert and everybody else does.
Too.
The hands, yeah. The hand gestures were important.
That's so
that
great.
Was that was interesting, and it was like kind of a nice break from thinking about the political reality, and more just like, well, I just have to like make a version of this person as a character.
Well, and if you're just true to who he is, then the humor's there. I mean, it's like anything interesting. You play it for truth. You don't. I mean, it's funny, but it's funny because it's true, right?
The video is called Tweetin' Donald, and you can see it on YouTube. I worked on it, and so I'm trying to, plug everything I work for.
Yeah, so tell us. Like, you have such. Yeah.
Sure. So you can see my website, which has like all of this and all the appropriate links at chris-palmieri.com. That's CHRIS-PALMIERI.com.
Good Italian boy.
And you can follow me at PalmieriSaurus90 on Instagram, which is PALMIERISAURUS90. It was taken. Follow me on Instagram there. So feel free to check me out. I do a lot of fun stuff and try to show what I'm working on at all different times.
Well, you do Field Station Dinosaur.
Right. We have 3 more weeks of Dinosaurs After Dark, which you can come see, which is our spooky dinosaur show for kids.
Are you there tomorrow night?
I will be there tomorrow night. Friday and Saturday nights until October 20th.
I know it was in Secaucus before.
It's in Leonia now.
Okay.
Yeah, we were in Secaucus for 4 years, and this is we're wrapping up our 4th season in our Leonia location.
That's great.
Yeah,
but brag about yourself, because you've worked with some really interesting people. So I'm all like, brag. Like, what else have you done? You've had some interesting interactions with some really interesting people.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I was really lucky on the show Snugs House I talked about. We were shooting in 30 Rock, so it was really easy to get big people who either already worked for NBC, people like Jimmy Fallon and Hoda Kotb, and. and other folks from that. And then it was also easy to get. We had Dolly Parton and Isla Fisher come on, and they were really great. And so it was really fun to get to work with folks like that. I have an interesting growing list of celebrities I've only met from within large suits. See, because when I was doing the hand puppet for television, I was meeting them, saying hi, we were working together, we could see each other. But then I've had a couple of instances where I met people and I was just in like a mascot suit, or I was in the T-Rex, and I never met them as a person. So, one of them was the, oh my gosh, what's her name? Drew Barrymore. Yeah. We didn't actually work together. She was just at an event that the dinosaur was at. And so she was like being low profile. But I played with her and her kid, and we had a nice moment. And I was like, hello. Like I didn't ever get to actually say anything.
Want to lean in and be like, hi. You.
Yeah.
Hi.
I performed the mascot. I've worked with the Charmin brand a few times, performing their bear mascot for different live events in New York. And I met Dax Shepard there. We did like a photo shoot, and I never met him outside of the suit, which was kind of funny.
I love that.
Yeah. And then my favorite one was I was playing a giant carrot, and Shaquille O'Neal threatened me.
Oh.
Yes. We were doing a photo shoot, and he is tall. Like, he's tall, but he's really tall.
Yeah.
Like, I was in this thing, and I'm craning my head. His hips were at my shoulders.
Oh, my God.
He's so tall. He's almost 8 feet tall. Wow. And so, this carrot suit has these big floppy leaves on top, which are way above everybody's head. They're not above Shaq's head. Oh. And so I'm, like, dancing around, and we're, like, posing, and I guess I've been hitting him in the head several times. And he leans over to me, never met me, doesn't know my age, my gender, doesn't know who I am, and he goes, if you hit me in the face one more time, I'm going to knock you the F out. And he didn't censor himself.
I was going to say, where was like the
Shaquille?
It was whack him in his face.
I was pretty nervous. I mean, he's a big guy, and he was, obviously had more
I
power.
changed my mind about you, Shaquille.
No, I'm sure he's lovely, but it's tough. It's tough.
No, it's tough. It's a really
tough
the whole
world,
thing, like with Christian Bale, everyone like is mad at him for yelling at
that
the
guy.
good for But then what we don't, first of all, I love everyone sitting behind their computers. Like the guy's in like a heavy suit. He's been filming all day. Apparently the sound guy kept on getting in his line of vision. It's like, it's annoying after we're humans. Like
people get frustrated.
Yeah. And it is a frustrating situation, and they're working for like long periods of time. I mean, I'm sure Shaq like got off a plane and just
he's exhausted.
Was bussed over or, shuttled over in his car to this event and was tired, and he's like, this giant carrot's hitting me in the face, I'm done. You know what I mean? And he may have been joking. I couldn't talk, so I had to just be like, because I was a mascot character, so
right, because you can't, when you're a mascot, the voices are, you can't talk.
Yeah,
because I used to be Chuck E. Cheese, and you can't speak because the voice is.
Wait, hold up. Why were you Chuck E. Cheese?
I used to. That was like one of my first big jobs. I worked at Chuck E. Cheese. I was like Chuck E. Cheese, like Queen Chuck E. Cheese.
Wow.
I was the character. I used to do the choreography for those shows. I was the choreographer. I was a trainer. I was going to stop my life and work at Chuck E. Cheese. That's how into it I was. I was like 16, 17. But because the voice is trademarked, you can't talk.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's a lot of, the big, the big much. But yes, I wore the mouse suit.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a puppeteer, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Who knew?
That's one of the... I've worked in a lot of parades, yeah. I worked in the Park Slope Halloween Parade once or twice, doing some big puppets that Puppetry Arts in Brooklyn had built. I did the Flushing Chinese New Year Parade, the Lunar New Year Parade. Wow. Yeah, that was actually a mascot gig. I was the primary performer for the Emblem Health mascot. It's a big dog, and they had him at the parade, which was really fun. And I was so into these Chinese dragon puppets. They were so cool, and I just was like, well, if I ever have a chance, I know I'm not part of that community, but like, if they would ever be like gracious enough to let me like touch them, any of those puppets would be so cool. And then I've done 2 times the Three Kings Day Parade for El Museo del Barrio in Harlem on Museum Mile. They have a big parade in early January for Three Kings Day, and we have these huge, tall... Actually, Jesse Bush was one of them last year with me, which was lots of fun.
Jesse.
I'm hoping you get to return. And so we have these big... They're really tall, and at first you put them on, and you're like, okay, like they're a little top-heavy, they're fine. And they're like, okay, we're going to extend them up to full height now. You have to go outside to do it. And it's like... And they're like 12 feet tall, and it's like just on a backpack. And so they're not heavy, but they're top-heavy. You know, you're balanced.
Yeah.
So there is a lot lot of call for puppetry and parades, and those are
That's
some
cool.
of my experiences.
So wait, can we pull out Mumford, because that's a 2-person puppet. So say bye. Bye.
Bye.
I'm just moving. I know.
I would like carry this little guy.
He's so simple.
He is so effective. We love him. I want to try him really quick.
Isn't he cool?
I'm just gonna be.
Yeah, that's based on like there's an old Muppet sketch with these two characters made of they look like vacuum tubes almost.
Yes, I know
that.
those.
And so I kind of was just feeling inspired by that.
Okay.
Anyway, so I'll take this guy back.
So this is Mumford, and I remember Mumford from camp.
That's right. I demonstrate live hand puppets, it's like a hand and rod puppet like we were using before, but instead of having rotted hands that one person will perform, he has these glove hands that 2 people can perform. And so we have this sort of dynamic movement. He can pick things up and interact directly with props, whereas when it's a hand and rod puppet, picking something up means cutting the camera and putting a bunch of sticky tape or sewing the thing to the hand or something, and then changing the angle and all that. But with him,
oh, hello there. Nice to be on the radio. I think I have a face for radio, don't you?
I love that. So talk a little bit about design. You had mentioned how, you have like the Silly Puppets or Sesame Street, they own the rights to their design.
Yeah.
So for you as a puppet builder and designer and puppeteer, what's like your signature? What makes it a Chris Palmieri puppet? Like, is there something about it?
That's a good
question.
I don't know if I have. I kind of want to. Can I put him down now?
Yeah,
for a bit?
I'm like, no.
You can have him for a bit.
Do you want
that's an interesting thing. That's something that I've been kind of trying to define and find for myself, especially because the bulk of my building has been for other people. So there's like a splash of me, and then there's like what do they want. I do make a lot of my puppets very cute. I think cute puppets are really something that I like.
Right hand.
In the head, right?
Yeah.
Oh wait, I gotta do it in the head. Sorry.
There you go.
I was like, I
no one's doing his
Sorry.
head. Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Yeah, there he is. So, I mean, this guy is one of my first ones
I love
that I
this
built.
one. He's so cute.
It's one of the first ones I built, and that was like good enough to keep around and keep using. And he's really great, and he's lasted a long time. I don't know if I have an exact specific style, because a lot of time I'm trying to think about the goals of the piece. Even if it is my own thing, I might be wanting to make something really cute and adorable. Like right now, this character I'm building, he's a duck. And I just want to make him like as cute and sort of like organic and tangible and huggable and like almost like a stuffed animal as possible. Whereas when I build like something big and scary, I want to make it look as weird and freaky as possible, or you know what I mean? So I guess I'm still finding that in some ways, but I definitely think most of the puppets that you would see at my house look like they're from the same world, and a lot of the puppets that I've built for other people do too. Even if I'm sort of
I think it's like an artist too. I think like I posted this. It was like a really ridiculous way to recognize artists, and the one was like, if all the people in these paintings look like Putin, women too, it's Van Eyck. But I mean, I just think it's like every artist, like you have your own, I guess, organic style. Does that even make any sense?
Well, I think you mentioning how, the one that you're working on, you want it to be fluffy and look like, like this teddy bear kind of thing. Yeah. I think that's something that we don't think about. And I'm like literally like, feeling up your puppets.
Yeah, there's a texture.
They feel like you want to hug them.
Yeah, even though mostly you don't get a chance to if they're far away from you or on TV, you want that tangible feeling. Especially if it's for children, I think, and children want to respond to that. And I mean, obviously, my initial impulse was just to look at what the Muppets were doing. So obviously, you can look at him and you can see the inspiration pretty plainly. But I've been trying to find my own way. But I never like to pick one thing, and I never like to be limited. You
want to kind of keep on growing.
Absolutely.
So what's next for you?
That I'm a freelancer, so that question's always up in the air. A couple things I can't talk about right now.
Yeah, I hear
so that's part of it. NDAs are really fun, and just continuing. I think the big thing that I'm really excited about that's next for me is just kind of developing my own content a little bit more, because I think that I'm ready to kind of return to focusing on that a little bit after taking a lot of time to work for other people. Not that I won't stop that. But,
no, I know what you mean, though. It's
do
like
both.
Yeah. can you give us one more time where they could find you on the socials, on the internet?
Yeah. So I would say the two best places would be my website, chris-palmieri.com. And then you can follow me on Instagram at palmierisaurus90.
So there you go.
So what's like what's a big dream goal for you? Something that you would
like that.
I mean, I've always said I just want to make my living and work with the best people possible, doing the best things possible. So I hope that leads to, bigger things. I've gotten to do a lot of TV work and a lot of stage work, and I'm kind of at one level right now, and it'd be nice to continue to climb that ladder. Sure, it's nice to make better money if that's an opportunity. It's nice to be doing work that more people see, but more than anything, I want to work with people who make me excited about what we're doing and teach me something, and that I might be able to teach something. So that's really the goal.
And you're doing that.
Yeah.
You're doing that.
Really.
So I think that's success. I mean, I think for all of us as artists, we're excited to be working.
Yeah.
So
we talk about that all the time. I mean, like, what's the measure of success? I feel like I'm successful. I'm doing what I said I would be doing. I do theater.
Right.
I do TV or web series. I do, this is what I'm doing for my living. And I'm proud of that. This is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Am I a millionaire? Not yet.
No, not yet. Stephen King had this great quote. I don't know if it was just about like what makes you a professional or what's good enough, but there was something about just like if you write something for someone and you send it in and they send you a check and then you send that money to the light bill and the light's on, that's just something.
I love that.
Yeah, like keeping the lights on, doing what you love to do. That's always been my like, if I can do that, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
And more would be great, but for now, that's more than enough.
I just heard on was it the radio or maybe it was like the Today Show or something? They were talking about one of the Queer Eye guys. He's obsessed with Michelle Kwan, and I guess I don't know if it's like in one of her books or something. She was on the Letterman show, or no, she was on Jay Leno, and she just lost the gold medal. And Jay Leno was like, "How did you feel losing the gold medal?" And she's like, "I didn't feel anything. I won the silver medal." And I just thought that was right.
Yes.
And and it's just looking at not what you've lost, but what you have and or what you've gained, I think.
And it's no, you're right. And it sounds so hokey, but like when I talk to people who I'm trying to, and like they'll be like, "Can we go out? I kind of need your energy, believe it or not." So I go out with these people and I said, you talk to yourself more than anyone else. So if you're talking down about yourself, when do you actually believe what you're saying to yourself?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, happiness, I very firmly believe we create our own happiness.
Yeah.
There are circumstances, but that's going to be life. So what you do with those circumstances, I mean, my mom died when I was 30 and I had a new baby. But that does not define me.
No.
And I still find happiness. So I love that if you can switch your mindset, then the world is your oyster.
And I think it's,
you know what I mean?
That's kind of a negative question to ask someone too. So I feel like, and there's a lot of negativity out there. So to turn it into a positive.
People love negativity.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very addictive.
It's addictive.
And negativity, it's hard because it can even be initially positive, right? You're at a gig and like it's not treating you super well, or the money's not great. And then you're like, you have these private opinions about things that are wrong. And then you realize your coworkers like feel the same. You're like, yeah, this sucks. Yes. And like you have this great like camaraderie.
Right.
But like that initial like boost to the morale, I have found in the long run is poison.
I agree.
It needs to be like we had that one, bull session and then like get back to finding a way or leave, which is also not that everybody has that option, but you know what I mean? Like find a way, because that is toxic, especially.
Well, that's what I tell my daughter, because my daughter's in high school, and my rule is you can bitch to me, you could swear to me, not at me, but like you could say what you want to me. Don't do it with your girlfriends, because now you're perpetuating this negative energy. So if you want to vent, I get it. You can talk to me. Of course, I'm like, I'm going to flip it on you, and I'll be devil's advocate. But then you go back.
Yeah. And
then you go with a better attitude.
You can carry that energy forth in the world in a way that's not so great, especially even professionally. Like I know folks who I think probably did worse at like auditions than they could have if they had been less honest about their negative experience at a job that they worked. Like, and my feeling is, if if you represent something negatively, people will see that and be like, well, is that how they're going to talk about me?
Yes, exactly.
And they don't know if it really was the problem or if it was you that was the problem. They don't know the details. They may not know you very well. It's very important to try to find the positive. And, you know, even I've been at auditions where someone will see something and be like, well, how were they? And I'll be like, well, they were great. You know, like people have their opinions.
Just trying
and
to stir up that.
Yeah. Even when that's the vibe, like you just gotta, you know, find a way. Because I think that's always going to be the better way to go.
I agree. I want to say really quick.
Yeah.
So this has to do with puppets. So friends of ours or acquaintances, friends of ours from the theater, from the barn. The daughter was watching their wedding video, and I guess the videographer had put Muppets in their wedding video. So the woman's walking down the aisle, and then all of a sudden the video breaks to the Muppets Take Manhattan.
Oh my God.
So this video has gone viral on Twitter.
That is so funny.
So by accident? Or?
No, the daughter tweeted it and was like, my parents' wedding video. And I think it's hilarious. I don't know if it's like the actual clip to the Muppets. Like they're all like, they're like, it's the Muppets Take Manhattan when Kermit and
when they
Piggy
get married, yeah.
Or if it's the daughter's laughter. I'm even getting the chills just thinking about it. I'm cracking up. I must have watched this thing a million times. It is up to 4-point-something million views.
Oh my God.
Wow.
It has gone viral on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's like the amazing thing. But because it's funny, it's positive, and who doesn't love puppets? I really feel like it was because of the Muppets.
Yeah.
And the Muppets were like, they're all like looking, and then it cuts back to the wedding video.
That's so fun because there's that great shot of all the Muppets, and they have the Sesame Street characters in the back.
Yes,
even
it's so funny. So anyway, I'm like, I have to bring it up today because we have the puppeteer. But anything else you want to add?
I would just say real quick. So Lauren and I love talking about self-care. So what do you do for just for fun, for self-care when you're not?
You're self-caring with us right now.
This is our self-care.
Oh, good. I'm glad I could be of service.
Yes, you're self-caring.
I am most definitely like touch on the borders of being a workaholic, I will say. I love my work. There are few things in my life or people in my life that have done as well by me as my work has, even at its hardest. I just love what I get to do, and I want to just keep working. So I try to find things that are not work that still feel productive. If I lay around all day, I don't. That's not self-care.
No, I can't do that.
A day off doing nothing is actually the opposite for me. So I love to go to movies. I still love being engaged by other people's work without being the one doing it. And I also love to just cleaning my house. Honestly, if my house is like a little bit,
that is not self-care for me. But hey, more power to you.
It is. Well, because the problem is probably what's happened is if I'm a little bit run down and burnt out, I probably haven't had time to do the dishes. And so I come in the house and like things are just not what I want them to be. So if I can clean the place, go for a walk, talk to some friends or family on the phone, and just spend a little bit of time doing something that I want to do and that I haven't had time to do. Like movies as well. I love seeing movies in theaters.
I love that you say that about like it's still art related, because I feel for me like I love going to the theater. That's self-care to me. Monday was my day off. I went to the movies and then I saw a show. So I just I think that's self-care can still be the art form that you're a part of and that you're working on.
Right. Or working on my own projects. Truth be told, I'm like I've said, I'm really trying to spend some more time like building puppets for myself, because the best puppets I've ever built, I don't have.
And you're like, what the heck? I want to have my own great puppets.
A lot of the puppets that I have are, including these guys, are like, I love them and they work really well. But there are things about them I would do differently, a year, 2 years, 5 years, 6 years out from having built them. And I don't get a chance because I'm so busy doing it, and then I'm kind of exhausted and I won't do it for a while. Then another gig will come in. And so I really want to invest some of what I've learned and what I've spent time working on into myself. And that's a really rewarding process. Like I tend to cut corners on my own projects, and I'm really trying not to. Really take a step back, redo it, really put the discipline in that I'd be doing if I was being paid really well to do it by someone. And I'm hoping that creates success down the road. So there's something too, as well as like working for you.
Yeah, I think just interviewing you today, we could tell that you're so driven and that this is, and how passionate you are about
And I definitely
work.
have something when we go off the air I want to talk to you about. It's like one of my things that I've been ruminating on for a really long time, and I'm actually starting to develop it. And I would love to talk to you about, because it's a concept that I have.
I'd love to talk about it. Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Chris Palmieri, for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
We record and we'll put it up on the YouTube. I have a couple other ones. Kevin, I got to actually bang out some interviews to you to get up on my YouTube. But we'll be back next week. Dennis Giacino is going to be calling in. He wrote Disenchanted, and they just dropped their 10-year. They just they recorded an album after 10 years.
That's awesome, and you just directed it,
and I just directed it.
Wow!
So he'll be calling in next week. Then we have Harvest Festival on the 24th, so you probably won't be in.
Yes, and then we'll do a special chewing in NYC
because we're going to go see Monster Songs.
Nice.
At 54 Below. So thank you so much. Thank you, Kevin, for being the producer.
Yes, thank you, Kevin.
Thanks,
and we'll
Kevin.
see you next week. Thanks.